Welcome to the More Gems Show. I'm Steve Moriarty, your host, and with me tonight are my two sons, Michael, who's in charge of this production.
Good evening, everyone.
And also Jeffrey Michael.
Hello, everybody.
Jeff will be handling our chat. Jeff is our SEO guy for our website, so what is it you do, Jeff?
Oh, for search engine optimization, digital marketing. I can, yes. My email is seoguy@gmail.com if you need help. I'm marketing myself here.
You need more clients.
Yes, no, I don't.
Yeah. And Michael, what's your position?
I don't know.
You're multi-faceted.
Yes. Jack of all trades over here.
A few different things. What,
Jeweler. He does a
makes this.
lot of our repair work and setting work and social media.
Crystals.
Yeah, he's Mineral Mike is what he's working on for his future, along with this business, of course. So he's into the mineral specimens, which brings us to what we've been doing for this last month. We went to Arkansas and did some quartz mining as well as some diamond mining. Here's some pictures from it. This is one of the mine sites. That's a tailing pile. Was that the stuff we found?
What's that?
Yeah, we found a lot of stuff. We found a lot of quartz. Nothing extraordinary like what we've bought down there, but we did really have a great time and found 100 different quartz crystals at least.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, so these have to be cleaned up afterwards typically to look like what you're going to see tonight. But that was a diamond field there, and that's a quartz mine. So we did a little diamond mining. Crater of Diamonds is the only diamond mining area in the U.S., and it is an actual diamond pipe. So if they did work this, they would find, so many diamonds per cubic, however they measure it, cubic meter of dirt. Just not enough to mine it profitably for a corporation. It has been mined several times by different corporations, but there's just not enough diamonds in the ground there to make it viable to do commercially. So it became a state park, and you can go down there, and for a small fee, you can go out there and search the fields for diamonds. They do find them regularly, and what was the one they found just after we were there?
Oh, I don't know.
It was a pretty good size one. Yeah, 4 carat or...
Cut it for his engagement ring.
Yeah, I found like a 4 carat, and in diamond you can get as much as 50%, so it could be a 2 carat diamond. Generally the colors are not really white down there, but if it were a nice clean stone, it could be $10,000-$12,000. So you do occasionally get lucky. Wasn't our luck. We did not get lucky, but we found some crystals, and I found one big crystal that I thought could be, but it turned out to be barite. Didn't look just like a diamond crystal, but they have so many different formations, it's hard to know exactly what that crystal is going to look like. And I had hope, but was disappointed in the end. But we really had a nice time, and the quartz mining was special just because you find so much. So if anybody wants to go down there, you go down to not Crystal Springs, Hot Springs, Arkansas, and close by there's about 30 miles of quartz running through the I'm not sure how to pronounce the mountains, but anyway, the mountains down there contain a lot of quartz, and it's commercially viable. And you can mine the tailings, or you can, in certain mines, mine in the actual mine. It costs you more to do that. But you are guaranteed that you will find things. So it's a fun trip if you ever want to go. It was about 10 hours.
Yeah, about a
10-hour drive.
Yeah.
So not too long for a weekend. And there's some great lakes, and great fishing down there. Hamilton Lake is what we stayed on, more commercially developed lake. And if I could remember, Washita, maybe that's the name of the other lake, a much bigger lake. And there are no houses on that lake. So they are huge lakes. I mean, it is remarkable how big they are. They are reservoirs, but very, very large lakes, and just a beautiful area down there. Well worth the trip. Any comments from you there, Mike, on the...
No, it was a great time. We got a few things to show them tonight, so.
Yeah, we have some crystals. We do have a supplier that met us down there that buys material in Colombia. So not only did we get some of the Arkansas quartz, we got Colombian quartz also, and just some really remarkable specimens. Every time I look at them, it just blows me away that nature created this, and we'll show you a few of those tonight, and you'll see more of those on MineralMike.com. So let's get started. Jeff, you want to tell them about how this works?
I know a lot of you have watched our show before, but if you're new tonight, you can log into YouTube / your Google account, and you can chat with us. We have a live chat going. There's already people chatting along, so if you have questions or anything, you can easily ask there. Also, if you're looking to purchase any of the stones tonight, I'm going to be adding links, but you can go to MoreGems.com, and at the top of the page, there is a green banner. This links directly to all of the gems that we're displaying tonight. You have a few different choices how I like to pay. You can pay credit card, you can pay PayPal, you can pay Sezzle financing, and no Bitcoin yet. I think those. And if you want to do a layaway or anything, you can give us a call tomorrow. Otherwise, probably missing something. If you see something you like, jump on it, because a lot of this stuff sells. Sometimes it sells before we even display it. We do have 3 hidden gems tonight that have an extra discount and won't be released on the site until we talk about them. So those are our hidden gems.
So our coupon code tonight is DIG15 for 15% off all the gems on the site. And those hidden gems will be 25% off. So stay with us and see what they are.
I think that's everything, right?
I think that's everything.
Let's go.
Okay.
Start it
Well,
up.
let's start looking. First up tonight is a quartz, and this one comes from Arkansas. Let's give you an idea of the size. What's remarkable about this piece is just its high clarity. I mean, this one I definitely could facet this. And I have faceted stones from this same mine. The one I cut that weighed 584 carat came from the Coleman mine. They just produce remarkably clear quartz. You'll see a veil that runs across this down lower, but there's probably 100 carat or bigger, probably 200 carat clear quartz to be cut out of this piece, but a much better specimen because it's just very clean. I mean, it's the perfect tip on it, just no chips on it. Is this rehealed also or not?
I don't think so. I don't
No.
think this one is.
Yeah, because one thing we found out, I don't know, explain what rehealed is, can you?
Well, it must have broke off at some point and then continued to grow, where it either dislodged or, that's what I think that's what they're saying.
So this quartz is connected to the wall where they're growing, and the ones that are rehealed actually break free and then continue to grow on that surface that's broken away, and you can see that it's starting to grow a crystal shape from that broken surface. So those are rehealed quartz, and I don't think we have any on this show, but there are some on Mineral Mike. Do you note that on there too?
Yeah, I will. I haven't posted anything yet.
Okay.
It's all, I haven't had time to get anything on there, so in the next coming months.
Okay, so you'll see a lot more quartz on Mineral Mike here in the near future, but this stone is just a really beautiful crystal tip. So it's $3.99 less 15%. With the coupon code DIG15. And our next stone is tanzanite. This one I just cut. This one is a cutoff of a much bigger piece. The bigger piece is still on my machine. It turned out to be a disaster that day, unfortunately. Got to the last facet. I was doing the table, and just a crack showed up in it that I didn't see at all. And I'd finished the entire stone, so I was a little bit upset to run into that, and just walked away from the stone. And this was the piece that I cut off, which actually came out to be a beautiful stone. It's a smaller stone, so it didn't get really deep color, but it is a beautiful color, and just a very brilliant stone. It worked out real well. Weighs 2.91 carat. The appraised value on this is $2,765. Our regular sell price is $1,480, and with the 15% off, it comes down to $1,258. It's just a real pleasing color. Not, like I say, it's not the most intense, but because it's not so dark, it's just really brilliant and just a lovely color. Mostly a blue stone. I think the listing on here says it's blue violet, but really is a violet blue. Much more blue in the stone than the violet. Clean. I think it's completely flawless, and just a very nice gem.
Kind of interesting shape too.
Yeah. It's something I don't cut real often, but it's just what the piece of rough said it should be, and to get maximum yield, this is what I ended up with. And all these stones that have a 1-1 proportions like this, where each direction is equal distance, they will be the most brilliant of gems, like rounds and trillions. And not sure exactly what to cut this. It's kind of triangular, but it's 6-sided. So don't have a good name for it. If anybody can come up with one, I'd be glad to call it after whatever they come up with, assuming we like it.
And Steve, just a point out here for anybody that's watching the show for the first time, explain about just the custom jewelry design we do for the stones as well.
Oh, okay.
It's available.
Sure. Any of these stones, we can provide a design for you. If you give us some idea what you would like, be it pendant, ring, or whatever, we can create a design for you. And, you just give us some basic ideas of what you want. And our designer, Christopher Michael, who's my nephew, will produce a computer-aided design, send it to you. If you want to make alterations, we can change it. If you like it, we just put it together. We'll give you a quote on the cost to do it, and we'll produce the piece for you. A couple of other things I didn't mention. So the prices you see, the normal price listed here, is based... we get the price using this guide. This is Gem Guide, which is a market-driven, independent pricing guide. And what they do is they go to the trade shows, particularly the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show and the JCK show. They go to AGTA dealers, American Gem Trade Association, which we're a member of. And they go to the dealers and check out prices of different stones. And they create this guide, and they give all sorts of different stones and cover most of the stones we'll have. They do diamond and colored stones, and they'll give pricing based on the quality of the stone and the size. So we use this to produce this normal price, which is basically an appraised price for the stones. Our price is typically half or a little more. We try to be what's close to wholesale pricing. And Again, tonight, 15% off with Dig 15. What's next there, Mike? This next one is a tourmaline. This comes to us from the Democratic Republic of Congo that's been producing a lot of tourmaline lately. They produce mostly pinks and greens, although they have bicolors and pretty much a wide variety of colors, peaches, and really one of the biggest producing sources right now. People are saying it's slowing down significantly, whether it's problems in the country or just problems with the quantity of material that's available there is unknown. But they're producing just some really, really nice gems, and the nice thing about many of these stones is there's no treatments involved. Tourmalines are typically heated to alter the color, but most have said that most of these stones are natural color, as is this one. So this is a 3 carat 79. It's got a Portuguese style pavilion and a brilliant style crown. Just produces a really, really nice brilliance in the stone. This is a high clarity. It's VS, so it has some very minor things in it. But basically an eye clean stone and just a really great color. Yeah. So this is $24.60 is the appraised price on it. Our price is $13.90, and with 15% off, it's $1,182.
This is you said it was a Portuguese.
Well, it's a modified. It's got a Portuguese style pavilion and a brilliant style crown. I may have listed it as Portuguese, but it's what is probably the most common cut overseas is this style of cutting. It just produces a great brilliance, but it's not as hard to do as a full Portuguese. Full Portuguese that I cut quite a few of is just a very time-consuming cut because there's 161 facets to it. Produces a little more unique brilliance, but this style of cutting is probably the most commercially viable to get a very brilliant cut. And then our next stone is another tanzanite. We have quite a few tanzanites tonight, partly because I've been cutting a lot of tanzanite, buying a lot of tanzanite, because tanzanite's what is the best buy in the market right now. The colors are better than they've ever been. Stones like this that are primarily blue, before the current, some of the current mines that are producing blue was much more difficult to get. A lot of people say that blue's the most important color, and that's debatable. Some of the mixes of colors are beautiful, and and I personally like a little more violet in it, but so many people are looking for blue, and they can be satisfied now because there's a lot of blue stones available. Probably 3/4 of what I'm cutting are strongly to the blue, look very much like sapphire, like this stone does. This stone is mostly blue. It has some violet to it, and the violet that's in this goes strongly to the red coloration. So you do get red flash out of this, which is very rare in tanzanite. But a lot of stones I've been cutting lately will show you some reds, and this one shows strong reds. This one's completely flawless to VVS clarity. I say flawless to VVS because it's easy to miss something when you're looking. Unless you spend half an hour looking at the stone, you can miss a small inclusion. So this is just our highest clarity grading, just cut really nicely. We're still having an issue with our cameras, and I haven't found the right camera to buy yet. So the color that you'll see in this, what kind of camera is this?
It's just a webcam.
It's a webcam, so it's really not intended to reproduce high quality color. But you can still see in this light, you can see the red flashes. They look more violet in here. But this does have a lot of red flash in it.
Steve, I brought over some mountings too, in case you
Okay.
want to show them.
All right. Yeah, I don't think I have anything for a trilliant on this. Need an assistant. Yeah, nothing here for a trillion. But this is really a great stone. It's a 6 carat 68. The brilliance on a trilliant is just typically greater than most any other cut besides a round brilliant. And this stone is just fully brilliant. Like I say, it's mostly sapphire blue, but still has that violet and red flash in it. The appraised price is $8,000 on this stone. Sale price of $45.10, and with 15 off. What size is this? 668. It's 38.34, I think. Yeah, should be about right. So $3,800, and it's a price of $574 a carat. And if you look online, most people are in the $700 to $800 a carat is generally what this type of material is going for. Where's my tanzanite rough?
I see it.
Oh, there it is. So you've probably seen this piece before. This is one that I need to cut. This is actually a tanzanite. I don't even remember what it weighs, but it's 250 carats or maybe even more. See if we can see it. Yeah, a lot of violet in the stone. This direction is the purple direction, and this direction much more blue. But this is going to cut, probably a 70 carat and a 30 carat at least. It's got to be sawn to cut two pieces, but, nice big piece of rough. Nice crystal too, as Mineral Mike says. He looking at the crystal and going, oh, you have to cut that? Yeah, I think so. 70 carat tanzanite's worth... was 40 grand. So
A little beat up.
A little beat up for a crystal, yeah. But still nice. Yeah.
I'd take it.
Yeah. So you'll see this one sometime in the future. I'll get the nerve to sit down and cut that one of these days. That's a stone that'll take 20, 30 hours to 40 hours to finish, to cut two stones out of there. Up next is, it's one of our hidden gems. So that makes this really a good bargain. This particular stone appraised at $9,300, weighs 8.46 carats. Appraised at $9,300. Our regular price is $48.60. And with, is that right? No. 93. Yeah, regular $48.60, and with 25% off, I don't know, it comes out to $488 a carat. And this stone is just very, very blue. I mean, it is sapphire blue. You take it outside, and it's the color of a fine salon sapphire. So really a beautiful stone for a great price. $488 a carat is about as low as you're going to see tanzanite from us or from anybody, especially this kind of size. And it's a very high clarity. It's flawless. The VVS, just a nice cut and just a top color.
So let them know that this stone is now live on our website, because it wasn't before, but Jeffrey just allowed.
Oh, okay. So if you looked at the stones that were available tonight earlier, this stone wasn't on there. That's why we call it a hidden gem, and we only make them live at the time we show them. So we have 3 of those tonight, 2 more remaining. But this is really a great stone to own.
Someone
man.
Right on camera too.
Yeah, allergies this season
I think
for
it
sure.
is, actually.
Oh yeah, it's
My eyes have been itchy all day. Someone was asking for a majority of your stones, how long does it take you to cut them?
anywhere from 2 to 15 hours. I've had stones. We cut the 600 carat quartz. That probably was 35 hours time to cut that. But most of them that I cut, 4 to 5 hours is probably the amount of time. Typically I can do 2 stones a day. A long day, if I had a good day, maybe I could get 3 in, but that's not very often. You'd have to put in a 12-hour day to do that and be real lucky. But these bigger tanzanites like this one, you're going to spend 5 hours, probably maybe 6 hours. I know a lot of people spend 15, 20 hours cutting something like this. But if you're going to make money, particularly cutting things that are a little less expensive than this, you go cutting amethyst. You can't be spending, hours and hours on them. We've got one coming up a little later in the show that I probably cut in a little over 2 hours. Very simple cut. Just really cutting it to try and cut for speed because the rough was very inexpensive and it wasn't going to go for very much. The stone on the site today is $250 is our sale price on it. So you can't spend 5-6 hours cutting something like that. I mean, you can if you're an amateur and not out for money, but you just can't spend that much time cutting. So it's all based on how valuable the stone is, how much time you can spend in it and still make money. But 5 hours, probably an average 4 to 5 hours. All right, up next. So this is a quartz specimen from Colombia. I know, very carefully. So big specimen. This is quartz and hematite is what the brown material is. But it's a really, really outstanding cluster. And there's not much in crystals that come with the beauty that quartz has. It's hard to find a specimen of any material that will show this many crystals in this kind of configuration. Anything else becomes, if you had tourmaline like this, it'd be $250,000. The mineral specimens that form like this in rarer materials just bring huge money. We'll see so many pieces in Tucson that are, 100,000, 200,000. They have this kind of shape, but much rarer material. That's why quartz is so special. You can get something really extraordinary for not a whole lot of money. It's in a price range that most can afford. This is a nice big specimen, and how many crystals are on this? Probably 100. I don't know what the count is, but they're all just beautifully formed. And, this one, you get the benefit of having hematite with it. And the value of specimens when you have more than one mineral in it goes up exponentially. This this particular specimen without the hematite, what do you think it would be?
I don't know.
300?
Yeah,
Maybe.
350.
Yeah, 300, 350, maybe 400. But throw in the hematite and it just increases the value so significantly. Just because the rarity and it adds much more character to the piece. So this is $749, and with the 15% off, it's $637 with the coupon code DIG15. So Colombia really produces some remarkable specimens. We did get this on this trip also. It kind of was a dual buying trip, both from the mines in Arkansas, particularly the Coleman mine, which produces real clean crystals. And crystals much like this material from Colombia. Let's just say they're pretty similar.
We've got a few right there that you could show.
Oh,
Yeah, a few in there.
is this is stuff we found?
This stuff we found.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Where are we going with this? Here?
Whatever you want.
Okay. So these aren't cleaned. They acid etch these to clean the surface. Michael didn't like the last time he used acid, which it is somewhat dangerous. Not only the fumes. I think you were doing it in winter, and
Yeah.
we didn't have
Just took a long
good
time.
ventilation, and I don't know. Will you clean this eventually?
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of like the way it is. I cleaned some of them, but
So this is the kind of thing you find when you're mining. They're not particularly large, but they're cool specimens. And you find something like this, it's kind of exciting. Costs you almost nothing, and you found it. So, and we found some pretty good sized single crystals. And these will clean up totally clear like the others we've been showing you if you decide to. So that's the kind of things you find when you're mining yourself in Arkansas. It's a lot of fun. And it's not too hard. Just don't go there when it's 95 like the last time we went. This time it was perfect. Yeah, it was 75 degrees and sunny. Yeah, so we had fun. And some little ones, they're just really perfect little crystals.
I'll show them the other one from Colombia. That one's kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
Well, we didn't find this one, but is it going to show in here? This one comes from Colombia, but man. That's just mind-blowing, though. How they got stuck there.
Uh-oh, froze up.
Froze up. Can you get this one on the big? This is small, but really, really amazing. There's a lot of doubly terminated crystals in this, and they just intersect in so many ways. The other one still froze. Looks like it.
Yeah. Let's see. I can fix that.
Okay. So where were we? We just finished the quartz. Our next stone is Turkish diaspore. Turkish diaspore is trademarked under a couple of different names. Zoltanite, which I've sold many Zoltanites over the past because my friend Jim Fiebig used to be the global sales manager for Zoltanite. So I managed to sell quite a few stones, and the nice thing about this one, it has a really good color change. Zoltanite doesn't change like an alexandrite does. The colors are much more subtle, but this one has a really great change. And when you look at this one in daylight, the green is almost lime green. This was photographed in the studio. I should have taken a picture in daylight because it goes to a really lime green color. This is a pretty big stone, weighs over 5 carat. And appraised price on this is $31.30. Weighs 5.32 carat. It's $15.90 is the sale price, and $15.90 is what I used to pay for the material. This stone is just a really good value for a stone that's unusual and somewhat difficult to find now. The other name for this material is Zarite. They had a breakup Zoltanite. The miner and the owners of Zoltanite had a little bit of a split, and not sure what the situation is now. So they formed Zarite, same gem, Turkish diaspora, color changing Turkish diaspora. Get it? So this stone, $1,590, less the 15% is $1,350. This is actually an attractive stone. Generally it takes a much larger stone to get a decent color change. When you look at these in 2-carat stones, the color change is hardly even there. You have to imagine it's there. But this particular material was I don't know, is it still the #1 searched item on our website? Yeah. It used to be the #1 searched item on our website, which I never quite understood because we really didn't have much on it, and we rarely have any material on it. So this is probably the only stone I've owned in the last couple years. Just kind of lost the connection and the split up of the companies. I just don't know where it was going as far as where the prices are, and I know they're much higher than this, but so I just haven't dealt in it. This stone turned up from one of our suppliers, and just thrilled to get it. We've had a few of the pink diasporas that were coming out of Afghanistan currently, but this is the first color-changing diaspora that I've had in years at least. So
Question, just because you talked about the lime green here. James had a question about just green sapphires and why they weren't very desired. He thought normally green gems have a very high value.
Well, they don't come like the chrome green that you expect of emerald, the saffrite garnet, tourmalines. It's more of a muddy green typically, more of a olive green. The green sapphires are generally not a dramatic green color. But that said, they've become popular. All these unusual colors, as I've mentioned before, even like the gray spinels becoming so popular. All these fancy colors in sapphire that in the past were not really saleable or of high value are suddenly becoming much more valuable. Montana has become an important source for sapphires, and hopefully sometime later this year we'll get up to Montana and do a little mining and buy from the miners around Rock Creek and El Dorado Bar. Are the two major mining areas for sapphire. There's also Yogo Gulch, which is the only mine that's not an alluvial or colluvial mine. Yogo, they are mining the hard rock and and finding Yogo sapphires. Very limited what's available. El Dorado Bar is an alluvial deposit, meaning the river has dumped them in a when the river slows down, the sapphires are dumped and buried in the shore, and that's where they're digging in El Dorado Bar. I think Rock Creek partially is colluvial, which is just it hasn't been moved far, but it's been moved by landslides or just movement of the earth has moved from the original source, and I believe that's called colluvial. So we hope to get up there because all these unusual colors, including the ones that are blue and green together, just a lot of the unusual colors from many sources in Australia as well as Montana have become highly desirable. So we're going to try and make that trip, and maybe I can cut some sapphires here sometime later this year. Okay. But greens, you're not going to see one that really you go, wow, that's an amazing green. Yeah, that's green, and maybe it's pretty. I'm learning I'm not a perfect judge anymore of what colors are saleable. Like I mentioned, the most important stone is the gray spinels, which in the past were not saleable now are in very high demand. So people's taste in gems are changing, and more things are becoming saleable. So we're also looking at different things these days. But you know,
And this is a different one right here.
and this is a different one right here. Yeah, Turkish diaspora is it is a rare stone. It only comes from Turkey, and whether it's true, there's only one mine for it. I hear reports of other mines, but I haven't seen that to be true. So this material is really actually in very high demand and very limited in availability. You know, I think the only thing that's slowed down its saleability is the fight between two companies, and the competition for material has created a market that's unsure. You know, just like me, I'm not sure where it's going and where price is, and they're pretty much controlled, so it's hard to get into that market because Zoltanite is its own company on its own and has distributors, and so generally not easily available unless you get into it in large quantities, which there's not really large quantities available. That said, let's move on. Next one. This is a spessartite garnet. Spessartites have been very popular on this show, and getting stones like this with such high clarity comes few and far between. Not sure what's on that one. I don't think that's internal. Something showing up there, but this is a really intense color. You know, this material comes from Tanzania. It's called Fanta Orange is the color it's known as, just because it's the brightest of all the spessartites. Just as the brightest orange color. You know, there are many colors that are beautiful, but none as intense of orange as this stone is. You know, this weighs 2.17 carats, has high clarity, VS1 in clarity, which is what's unusual about this material. There's usually very fine crystals in it, and if you look at our website, you can see several of our stones have these little fine crystals. And unfortunately, it makes them very difficult to photograph because they show up so much in highlight and with magnification. So this stone praises at $1,736. $1,045 is our sale price. And with the 15% off, it's $888. These come from Loliando, which is not far from Arusha. So hopefully if we get there, we can take a trip to this mining area. You know, but unfortunately, the way the situation is in Tanzania, you won't be able to buy at the mining areas legally. And so that's a big change in the marketing in Tanzania by the government. They're trying to keep the sales of material within certain buildings. There's one in Arusha and one in Dar es Salaam and another one somewhere in the country. They're trying to control it to keep the taxing of the material, keep it all legal. So there's no buying at the mines anymore, which kind of takes some of the interest of going to Tanzania out for me. We've been looking at going to Tanzania. Still doesn't look like it's safe there. Just a lot of COVID still there. They've denied that it exists, so there's been no immunizations, and so COVID is pretty intense there. So thought about going back to Madagascar, which would be fun. Government still recommends not going to Madagascar too. I don't know, is that true of all countries when you look at them, Jeff?
What?
That the government says don't go because of COVID?
I think the U.S. government pretty much says no to most.
To most
But there's-
countries.
Yeah.
Because that's Tanzania and Madagascar, they said don't go.
Yeah, but I think Tanzania's been open for quite some time.
Yeah, well, it's
Travel
open
to-
because they deny
they don't want
that
travel
it exists.
anywhere.
Yeah, so, so COVID is rampant there, but we've all got our shots. I think Michael's had his second, so, relatively safe to travel. But we'll see where we go. Madagascar would be fun just because you can still go by at the mines, and there's a lot of unusual material there. Tanzania, my attraction is tanzanite, of course, which is probably half of our entire business. But we'll find somewhere to go somewhere in the next 6 months, hopefully. And, excited to get back out there and do a trip. So Jeffrey's suffering from allergies, I think. He's having some sinus issues, as I do too. But, yeah.
Do you have a mounting to show that?
Do I have a mounting to show? Yes. I didn't prepare well for the mounting situation. Just to give you an idea of the size and there you go. So this is a mounting that, takes diamonds around here. Each of these holes is a diamond. So there's 2 there and this little raindrop kind of pattern around it. This is a model that my nephew Christopher Michael, designed. So there's diamonds down the shank and some millgrain pattern around the edge. So spessartite would look nice in a piece like this. We'd redesign it slightly. This is made for an oval, so it's an easy change to make this fit this stone. I don't know, you want to see it on a lovely finger. So, but make a really, really pretty ring. And the great thing about spessartite has a really high refractive index, so you get amazing brilliance out of it. It's probably the next closest thing to a blue zircon. Happy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So with showing that mounting, it's been a little bit of a discussion as far as wearing a previous stone, zoltanite, in a ring. What are your
Zoltanite's
thoughts
good
on that?
hardness. Yeah, you can wear zoltanite in a ring. It's hard like garnets, so no issue with zoltanite. This is one of the spessartite crystals. This is probably a dodecahedron, meaning it's got 12 sides, I believe, dodeca.
Kind of looks like 2 in 1.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, almost looks like because it's really an odd shape. Almost like 2 crystals stuck together. Which is interesting in crystal formation, but not good for a cutter. Because there's usually a plane down the middle of them when they twin, which could well be what this is. This material I bought last trip to Tanzania, which has been a while ago. And one of these days I'll sit down and cut this because I probably have 10 or 12 pieces of this. I don't think anything in here, though, that I have is as clean as this stone we're showing. And up next, Mike. So this is something that's getting difficult to get. This is an ametrine that comes from the Anahi mine in Bolivia. This is how the crystals form. They're probably etched like this.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
are actually they actually don't form like that. This was etched after the fact. So this you'll see another crystal later that is how they form, and this was etched. So there's like a adjacent vein, I guess, and which wasn't etched, and this where this find was, these crystals were actually etched out just like this, but they haven't found any others since.
So some strongly either acidic or basic material came into the pocket that this formed and literally dissolved the crystal faces away.
That's what they think.
Yeah, so they think. But if you look at it, you can see the line of citrine that runs down the middle of this. I should have grabbed I have some crystals for cutting, but apparently they come from a different portion of the mine, because I always looked at these and I go, how do you get these faceting crystals out of this material? And supposedly they don't. It's another formation. But this is really a remarkable piece. This is one of the finest pieces I've seen, and I think it's one of the finest you've owned.
Yeah, that one's real nice.
Yeah. So just a good clean piece. They're not faceting clean, but if you look into them, they have a real nice clarity and just intense color. They're just really a beautiful crystal. This particular one, it weighs 1.5 pounds or so it's a big one. The sale price on it, $27.99, and with 15% off, it comes down to $2,380. So it comes from the Anahi mine in Bolivia.
You're showing the size of that. You got your pen light? I don't know if you can
See if I can.
hold it kind of far behind it. I was doing that, yeah.
Whoops.
So you can take it back farther.
Yeah, or this is not the best light for this. Yeah, I don't know. Can't really.
There you go. See the orange in there.
You can get a good look at the surface of it. And it sits nice. Nice specimen. Yep. Anything else you got to say about that?
No,
Whoops.
cool piece.
Cool piece.
Yeah, they're not producing anymore, so.
Yeah, supposedly no production of this material is what our supplier is telling us. So hopefully not true. Michael sold quite a few of these specimens. And I've sold a lot of cut ametrine, so hopefully it continues to be available. And, it's just fun material. You'll see a few of the cut ones on our website on MoreGems.com. And up next is an amethyst. So this is the amethyst I cut. I bought a kilo of amethyst rough just because it was priced right and looked nice. I didn't plan on cutting any of it because it's too small for me to make money. A stone that sells for $200 is the bare minimum of what's worth sitting down for me to cut commercially. For an amateur to cut, different story, because you can, you're not worried about your time and profit. Do I cut a $5,000 tanzanite or a $250 amethyst, which take about the same time? This one I did knock out in a couple of hours, whereas the tanzanite probably take double that time. But the value of the tanzanite is, 10 times what this is, or 20 times. But this material that I thought was a little on the light side actually surprised me when I cut it. It actually came out to a beautiful color. It's nothing like Rwanda material that is deeply saturated. But the nice thing about this, any light, this color will look beautiful. It'll be bright in any light. So it cut deeper color than I expected. and cut very nice brilliance, because all this rough material I have is very clean. I think there's a little veil in the stone, but you can't see it with the naked eye. But this is about the simplest cut I could do in a square. It's a square type Barian, minimal amount of facets, but still really produced a nice stone. So it's good size. Make a nice piece of jewelry, either in a pendant or as a ring. It's so a good size stone. $250 is the sale price less 15%, which puts us at $212 for 8-carat stone. It's $25-30 a carat. Basically you're paying for the cost of cutting and a little bit for material, as you'll see next, because I have some rough for any of you cutters that may be out there. Yeah, I can put it on this. Give you an idea. So good size ring. This looks like a little marquee on the side, and the pattern. This particular style was made for somebody. I'm not sure what the patterns are. Meant something to this person, but we can change these to suit you. Okay. Nice stone, though. It really, really did surprise me is how nice the color came out on this. I didn't expect it to be quite so good. If I had more time or another cutter, I'd cut more of this, because it's a saleable stone. You mount this up and it becomes a nice saleable amethyst piece. Many of the finest amethysts, what we consider the top qualities from Rwanda, from Uruguay, and some other sources, the top qualities are pretty dark, to show that really deep color with the blues and reds that you see coming out of them. They almost get to the point of being too dark, and in low lighting situations they are on the dark side. So that's the benefit of this material. It'll always show up bright and just a nice purple color. And next is this parcel of rough. This is one of the pieces. That last stone came from this material. So this particular parcel weighs 511 carats, basically 100 grams. The average weight in this is 24 carats. So they should cut 5 to 12 carat size stones is what you should be able to get out of this. And, that piece that I just showed you weighed 24 carat. In the piece of rough, I think it was 25. And I got a little over an 8 carat out of it. And as an 8 carat, we have it priced a little over $200. So here's 21 pieces that if you cut it all, you can end up coming out with as much as $4,200 worth of stones for a cost of, what's that come out to be, $459. A lot of labor to cut it, but it'll produce some really nice stones, because this material is remarkably clean. Most of it's totally clean. Like I say, a few will have some very small veils in it, but those veils just don't show up when you cut it. And a veil is an imperfection that runs in them that is, they call it a veil because it looks like a veil, just a very thin, lightweight inclusion that runs across the stone. You know, many of them you can cut out if you run into one, or most of them you can leave in and they're just not visible. But you can see how nice the color is in this material, as shown in the last stone I showed you. So this parcel, $459 for the parcel. Good cutting material. These come from Bahia, Brazil. And the next parcel is a little bigger. You know, I bought 2 kilos. One was this size, and the other is a larger material. And these, on average, don't have the average. So there's 270 carats, 54 grams. And this parcel at 540. You know, so these are going to cut more like finished stones in the 15 carat. 54. Finish. And stones that are going to finish out material that you can sell for $450 or so. You know, as a 15 carat stone at $30 a carat, that's $450. So as they get bigger, they get a little deeper color. So you're going to get a little richer color out of this than the stone that was cut from that last parcel. So $540 less the 15% is $459 for the parcel. If you're a cutter, this is worthwhile to take the time to sit down and cut material like this. Again, these are from Bahia, Brazil, of which the next stone is also from that source. And this one, because of its size, really got remarkable color. I bought this rough on our last trip and really thought it had nice color, but I didn't expect to get the color that came out of this, because this is really a top gem color. Has that pleochroism, you know, you see the blues and the reds that come out of it, and when you go to different lights, it has a color change. Some lights it'll appear more red, some lights a little more blue. This stone is very, very clean. Could be flawless, but I'm saying it's VS1. You know, this one took a long time to cut. It was difficult to polish, and it one of those stones that probably was 10, 12 hours to cut. You know, when you cut a stone this big and it's got a table the size of this stone, tables are always the most difficult part to cut and polish, mainly polish. So this really took a lot of time to finish this stone. And amethyst always somewhat of a problem polishing. For you cutters that are cutting this material, the method I use is I start with a 400 steel lap, preform the stone, go to a 600 lightning lap as my pre-polish, and then I use a spectra lap, which is an ultra lap, to do the final polishing. And I use a little bit of cerium oxide to add to that lap to extend its life, because a stone like this, without some added cerium oxide, you could run through 4 or 5 spectra laps. Not that they're really expensive; it's about $15 worth, but you know, you can extend their life using some cerium oxide with it. So this is really a great stone. Weighs 152 carats.
Show us that.
Show us that stone. So you can see how big it is. Whoop. So I'll make a big pendant, but not ridiculously big. For those that like big, make a nice size pendant. Yeah. So good brilliance. It's a step cut. Both the pavilion and the crown of the stone are step cut. Just a lively stone. And again, not to the point of being overly dark that it doesn't show up bright in all lights. Yeah. It's probably the largest, finest amethyst I've cut. You know, I've cut a lot of them in the 50, 60 carat, but 152 carat, this is maybe, I think it's the biggest amethyst I've ever cut. But a great stone, you know, and price on this stone is, appraise price $14,500, regular price $5,900. With 15% off, it's just over $5,000. So $33 a carat is what that ends up being. This is actually a piece of rough. This is not the same. This is actually Rwanda. Rwanda is considered to be some of the finest, but this particular piece is from, there was 2 mines, and this is from the lesser desirable mine. It'll cut a nice stone. It won't be as pretty as this 152 carat, although it'll cut a big one. It's more of just one color. It doesn't give you those pleochroic and color changing appearance that this 152 carat does. You know, the original Rwanda material, which this is a piece, you know, I'd light it up, but it's not going to show you the true color. It's not blue like that. But this is an original piece of Rwanda, and they have what this stone has, and that's a color changing effect. You know, when you go to daylight, typically they'll get more blue, and incandescent they'll be more red. You know, this is the same thing that tanzanite does in different lights. You know, has a color shift is more appropriate. Not a complete color change like an alexandrite, but does a color shift. And also has pleochroic colors, which when you look at it in a single light source, you'll see different colors within it, like you do in this picture. So it has color shift and pleochroism, which are 2 different things, which both of them are showing 2 different colors or multiple colors in the case of pleochroism. But pleochroism shows up all the time. Color shift shows up when you go to different lights. So, okay. So up next, another of the quartz crystal. This is a Columbia quartz crystal. This one, right?
Yep.
Again, just remarkable. You know, just a pleasure to look at them. You know, you just get excitement seeing that nature made that. You know, it wasn't manufactured in a plant. It came out of the ground.
Sorry, Steve.
That's okay. Your picture's
go
better.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Your picture's
You were
better.
admiring.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. You know,
I pushed
But-
the wrong button.
you know, I look at these and I just want to photograph them. I just think that, you know, there's just something amazing.
That one's got a little doubly terminated
about-
one on the back too, I think. One with your index finger.
Here?
I think so. No?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, there is. So doubly terminated means they just have a point on both ends. You know, just unusual to see it in most gems because they have to be open in the liquid that they're forming in for it to form 2 ends. Usually this will be attached to the wall so you don't get a termination on this end. So sometimes you'll see it in the crystals that tend to cross them, that they'll doubly terminate. And there's a termination on the bottom of this one here. So, but just a remarkable specimen, and this is the kind of thing that you put it in your house and it just adds just a natural look that, people just can't believe that it's real. So this one, $4.99, and with the 15% off, $424. Very, very clear crystals too. Most crystals in quartz you see they tend to be milky looking, just from inclusions that are within them. What'd you want to say, Mike?
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say that. Yeah, clean, nice terminations, not much damage.
All good things in the mineral collecting industry is high clarity, real defined and sharp points, no damage. And that's what makes a crystal more valuable.
And this one's just aesthetically pleasing, just the way it kind of
Yes, and how pleasing it is just when you look at it. Does it make you smile when you look at it? Okay, and next is another tanzanite. You'll see we have a few tanzanites tonight. I've been busy cutting tanzanite. I have a lot of material to cut. If you look on our tanzanite site, which is tanzanitejewelrydesigns.com, if you don't see what you want, just ask, and I probably have it because that's what I've been investing in. I think it's better than it's ever been. The quality of the stones have never been as good in my whole time in business as it is right now. So I'm spending everything I can, or everything my wife will let me spend, and occasionally a little more, but we'll talk about that, Nancy. She's been good lately because tanzanite's been good to us. So I've been investing a lot in tanzanite, buying some really great rough, and this is one of them. This is a 6.88 carat, another mostly all blue stone. When you get this in incandescent, the ends of it will turn violet, but otherwise it's just sapphire blue. Outside in the daylight, it's just a blue stone. And as you will find when on most websites they say that the blue is the finest. I'll debate that, but the blue is equally as fine as some of the stones with violet. And typically rarer. For all my time in business, the availability of blue stones has been very limited. And that's why I've always questioned them saying the blue is the finest, because tanzanite has been a really dramatic seller and there was rarely blue available. But now it's a different story. There's at least one mine producing a lot of blue stones, and, I'm getting them while I can, because I've really never seen this quantity of blue available in the market ever. And from its inception of the mining of tanzanite, many people have always wanted it to look like a sapphire. And now you can have it because these stones look like sapphires. And a sapphire that weighs 7 carat that looks like this would be $35,000 probably, or more. So you've got a stone with greater rarity and as much beauty as any sapphire, and you can buy it for about 10% of what the sapphire would cost you. I know. Do I have a mounting for this? Sure.
Do you have a mounting for that?
If I can find the stone. Oh, it almost fits. So it's a bezel. Ignore the color in this. This camera does not reproduce color. The color that you're seeing on the site is accurate. Just a beautiful blue color. But this mounting, again, is made with a couple of marquees, a bezel set, so just a simple setting. a little big for the stone, but we can make it to fit.
So you think we'll have a new camera by next time?
Yeah, we're going to work on getting a new camera. Yeah. For some reason, our camera will not transfer the signal to our computer anymore. And they're expensive, and I want to get the next one right. So I'm doing some research to figure out what the best camera is. I'm happy with the Canon, and hopefully I'll find one of the Canons as I'm used to using it. But, you know, the bodies of these cameras are $3,000-$4,000 for the good ones, and I just want to make sure we get it right and it'll work for these shows as well as take the pictures for online. So any of the mountings that you see on our websites, which includes Tanzanite Jewelry Designs and More Gems, we can modify to fit almost any stone that we're showing tonight. Maybe not the 152 karat amethyst, but most of the mountings can be altered to fit most any size or shape stone. Looks like we have a sale.
Yep. We sold.
Yep.
There's the flames. Waiting for those.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the amethyst that you just cut sold to John.
The 8 karat square.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's beautiful stone.
Yeah. Yeah, I may have to cut more if nobody buys the rough. If I just had the time. Michael's going to start cutting, so maybe we'll get him cutting some amethyst. Because if you spend the time cutting it, I mean, you could make money just cutting, but being into more expensive stones, you make more money cutting more expensive stones. But for someone to sit down and just cut amethyst, I mean, I could knock out 4 of those a day, at $200 a piece. It probably works out pretty well. But, it's not always is that rough available like that. It's just the Bahia is producing this material. They've been producing it for about 2 years, and not sure how long it'll go on. But nice, clean material and great for somebody to cut, What's Mike?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. So, thanks. Thank you for your purchase, and hope you enjoy the stone. And if we can help you produce a mounting for that, we'll be glad to do it for you. After this fine tanzanite we're looking at, this 6.88 karat, what's next? One of my favorites, always has been my favorite. Malaya garnet has been my favorite stone since I've been in the business. When I was still with my brother, this material came out. He didn't like it. I loved it. So I jumped on it right away. We worked together for up until 1982, I think. So from 75 to 82. Ignore that little bit of dust that's on there. This is a nice clean stone. It's VS clarity, has some minor things into it, as most all garnets do. They typically have needles in them that they form a particular angle that always gives you an identifying characteristic for garnets, because it's in most garnets. It's called silk, or it's usually rutile that forms in garnet. It's 60 degrees. I don't know. It's both garnet and sapphire have very similar inclusions, and the silk forms at different angles in the two, and it's an identifying characteristic for both those gems. But this particular stone, it weighs 2.53 karat. Malaya garnet, very difficult stone to get. This production has come out of Mahenge in Tanzania. Originally, it came from the Kangala deposit, which was a rhodolite deposit, is where it was first found. But this stone comes from Mahenge. And Mahenge produced real strongly for probably 5-6 years, and since has dropped off in production dramatically. But this color, nice peach color, and even more dramatic in daylight. Whoop. Uh-oh.
Oh. How's
Well, we may see that one in a mounting. We got lucky. If I could count how many stones I've dropped in my lifetime, it may hit 1 million. I don't know. So this is a mounting that takes a couple of larger diamonds on either side of it.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Need that camera.
Yeah, we're having some issues with this camera too. Probably not going to see it on this one. Is there a focus? Well, anyway. It's a stone that'll make a decent sized ring. Or a good pendant also. Is it working? Yeah. Color's off a little bit.
There, kind of, maybe take
What?
my hand away and see if it corrects.
See if it. There you go. So again, you can see a couple of diamonds. Looks like maybe a 15-pointer and a 10-pointer on either side. So about half a carat of diamond in this one. So when we design, this is the kind of model you'll see. You know, even if you're long distance, we can send you one of these. They used to be wax. They're no longer wax. They're resin models. So this particular resin you can put on your finger and it tends to hold up. Used to cut wax models, and you know, it'd take Chris maybe a day to cut a wax like this. You put it on your finger and you crack it and you have to cut another one. But now with computer-aided design, you can produce 100 of these waxes in a day. Probably takes Chris half a day, maybe sometimes a day to still produce a model, but you can produce many, many of them. So this particular stone, $1,520 is the appraised price, $790 the sale price, and with 15% off, it's $671. You know, just a really, really fine garnet. This Mahenge deposit produced colors that before it were not available. This is a color that was available, but some of the light ones we'll show you, like I have a trio of stones later in the show, that are colors that typically until now you just haven't seen in garnets. You know, they've produced some light pinks and peaches that were non-existent in all my time in business when it comes to garnets. So garnet has become a very important stone in the business. Prices have gone up significantly, probably double from what they were 10 years ago. And that's just because of the wide variety that's available. You know, then you've got garnets like Savorite garnet, which have been very expensive. A 2.5 carat Savorite can be $5,000. So there is precedent for high prices in garnets, and people are realizing that garnets really have a beauty that can vie with diamonds. You know, they have that kind of brilliance, and the color range is more dramatic than typically you'll see in garnet. So it's just a worthy stone to own, you know, and always has been one of my favorites, and happens to be my birthstone also. So those of you born in January, this is one of your birthstones. You don't have to have just red garnet. There's all colors of the rainbow. And our next stone is our second hidden gem. This stone what have I? You know, just trying to relate, the amount of time that this took to cut is ridiculous. I mean, this is a stone that took me 15 hours, you know, and it's the reason I don't do it anymore, because it's just too labor intensive. You know, this material that comes from Ethiopia, many of the stones would be much better yielding with this type of cut, and it's the reason you do it, because the pockets that are in the rough material, here's a piece of rough. Can we see this? So all this material, if you cut into this, it looks like it's surface. Those pockets can go, they can go a third of the way through the whole thing. So this is why we carve. All this material, it, sometimes goes halfway down. You start cutting into it, and what you thought was a 50 carat stone in here ends up being a 10 carat stone. This particular material was not good. You can see all the cracks in it. It was amazing when I bought it, but certain of these stones will craze like this. It's usually the high clarity material. But this was a stone that could have been thousands, and now it's just something to show. Because when you cut into this, it'll just continue to crack like that. Either they're stable or they're not, But anyway, all this stuff goes much deeper than you think. What this looks like surface, you're probably going to lose the whole top third of that stone, just because this material that the parent rock that this formed in goes much deeper than you think. And that's why you get those pockets in that stone that I've sculpted. Sculpting is good for recovery, because if I'd cut this stone like a normal cab, instead of being a 26 carat, it'd have been at best a 10 carat. So there was reason to do it, but the amount of time it takes to cut it has made it so I don't want to do it anymore. I may do more because I think I can do it a lot quicker. I could probably do this stone in under 10 hours. But the amount of work it is to get in there and polish with hand tools is beyond what I want to do currently. That said, this is a great one. It has amazing color, and it'll make a unique piece. This is something that you can hand wire. You just take wires and form it around this piece, and for relatively inexpensive compared to custom making a cast piece, this can be done relatively simply and show off the opal and just make a beautiful pendant, because the colors in this are really extraordinary. The back side of it from where we're looking now, although the video didn't show it as much, there's a lot of blue in it. And blue is something you don't see in opal, particularly from Australia. You don't see a lot of blues, except for the material from Queensland that's just blue and green, in a stone that has a lot of red and all the different rainbow colors. Finding blue in opal is a little more unusual. So this stone has all the colors of the rainbow, really unique shape, and tonight it's 25% off. So going from an appraised price of $4,600, our sale price at $3,680. What is the final price on this stone? Is $2,760. So approximately $100 a carat on a really extraordinary opal. This material, anything that looked like this from Australia, would be $400 a carat. So a $10,000 stone. Let's hear from all you Australians about it's always some jealousy, or there's Australians don't like Ethiopian opal, particularly because of the low price in comparison. Australia has some advantages, but Ethiopian also has some advantages. Ethiopian doesn't craze. Many of the sources from Australia do craze, meaning that over time, or particularly within the first year of cutting, they'll form cracks within the material. Whereas Ethiopian opal will not craze. This piece of rough I showed you, yes, is crazed, but crazing in Ethiopian is the first day or two. After that, they're stable. So if the material, either in the rough like this, crazes, you don't cut it, or when you cut it and it crazes, it's just not saleable afterwards. But once you cut it and it lasts for a few days, it's good forever. It's just not going to craze. Ethiopian opal will absorb material, which can, for crazing, it's its benefit because it's hydrophane, so it can absorb water and release water. Whereas the Australian material, the release of water is what causes the crazing. But you do have to be a little careful with this absorption because you don't want to get oils and spray hairsprays on it and have that absorb into it, or perfumes and things. So you have to be a little careful with what you get on it. But otherwise, these are the most durable opals on the planet. They'll withstand blows better, and they won't craze. So it's two very positive things about Ethiopian opal. Cool piece. Nice size, make a great pendant, and the because of its size, you'll get noticed with it. That's the one thing more than any other stone that I've sold. People say that people are constantly commenting on their opals. When they wear them, particularly as a pendant, people just can't help but notice it. You have this big size and beautiful colors. It's just hard not to see it. So if you don't want to be seen, you don't want your jewelry noticed, don't buy this opal. Otherwise, it's just a great pea stone. All right, love those flames, Michael. Question.
Yes. Since you're talking about carving and cutting right now, I thought this was a good time. So somebody wanted to know, I guess I've seen some designers do it, but have you ever cut a stone without a table?
Sure. We're talking faceted stones, I assume. Yes, but I've quit doing it. I just cut a design. That design requested, the design was made for a checkerboard top, which is no table. It's just all square facets across the top. And, it was popular for some time, but I think most cutters generally have decided that the brilliance is just not as good. It produces something that looks different, but in my opinion, it's not better. So I took that design, used the pavilion is what I was after, and just did my own step cut. Well, actually, I didn't finish it. It's a stone I talked about earlier. It's still on the dop that, I had a few cuss words to say about it. Threw my loop across the room. Fortunately, nobody was here. Yelled a little bit, and, because it was supposed to be a $7,000-8,000 stone. I'll be lucky if I finish with a $2,000 stone. So, but that stone had that checkerboard top in the design. Which I can show you real quick. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the drawer of broken dreams. Like you had your amethyst that you cooked too much in that one drawer.
Yeah. So this is the design I was doing. This design is by Marco Voltolini, and it was the pavilion I was looking for. This is a pavilion that's like the tourmaline I showed earlier. I didn't cut it, but I've been looking for this pavilion because it just produces a really, really great brilliance. But that crown, I don't like it. And that's what you're talking about, is no table. But that said, I've been cutting tables much smaller. So the tables are smaller these days. And that's what most faceters are doing, smaller tables. We like them better, 50% table, meaning if it's 10 millimeters wide, the table's 5 millimeters wide. That's a 50% table. So we kind of generally look at that as being the max. You can't always do that, but if you have the opportunity, there's enough material for you to cut. I like cutting smaller tables, And I think generally with U.S. cutters, that's been true. We're trying to cut smaller tables. We just like the looks of that better. You know, you get a designer look to the crown because you don't have this one big facet that's a central focus point. You have the faceting across the crown that you get a better look at because all the facets are bigger and you can see them better. So it adds to the appeal of the stone and probably adds to the brilliance of the stone also. Answer the question, I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
I think so.
Question is, the answer is I don't care for them, but if you want one, I'll do it. All right.
Opposed
Are-
bar is kind of
Yeah, there is an opposed bar, which I like opposed bars. We had one on the show last week that was an opposed bar, and it's kind of tableless. You know, sometimes it has a table, but it's tiny because it's the same size as the rest of the facets. Opposed bar is just a dome like this where the facets run across. You know, and you can see it on our website. There's a tourmaline from last week, and maybe, I don't know if there's any others. But opposed bar is a unique cut because it produces a unique brilliance to the stone. Whereas that checkerboard top I showed you in the picture, it just kind of confuses things. You know, I think people liked it because it had a look to the top of the stone that was different, but it didn't help brilliance at all. All right, what's next? Oh, here's a stone I was talking about. This is basically the pavilion. I don't doubt that it's exactly the pavilion. I didn't cut this stone. I bought this stone cut, so I'm not sure it's the same, but I think it's very similar. And I love the brilliance it produces. You know, this is how I would cut this style of cut rather than that checkerboard top, you know, because the brilliance of this stone is just amazing. You know, you get a little more brilliance because it's a fatter stone. Meaning the length width is similar, almost getting the point of what we call a roval, meaning a rounded oval. It's almost round, which rounds will produce the greatest brilliance. So an oval that's a little fatter like this will have great brilliance, and just that pavilion style produces some of the best brilliance I've ever seen in ovals. This one's cut in Thailand, and they just do a beautiful job of cutting. And this is really a great stone. This is a pink tourmaline from the Democratic Republic of Congo, kind of a peachy color. You know, this will change somewhat in different lights. In daylight, it'll be more to the pink, and in incandescent, you get this peach color. You know, so it's pretty much it's a color shift that you'll see in this tourmaline, and many tourmalines you'll see a color shift in different lights, particularly almost all the pinks will turn a little more brownish to the peachy in incandescent and more pink in daylight. You know, so this is a really nice stone, and my favorite cut for ovals, bar none. I'm thrilled that I found that. Thanks Marco Voltellini for that design. I'll use your pavilion, but not your crown, sorry. So this tourmaline weighs 3.22 carats, appraised value of $1,650. $1,085 is our regular price on it, and with 15% off, it's $922. But this is really, really a great stone. You know, we've had several of this cut from this cutter over the last several shows. I know we had what was the
Molly Garnet.
Oh, yeah, the Molly Garnet. The Molly Garnet we sold. It was returned, and my wife was thrilled. If you're watching tonight, thank you for sending it back, because she wanted that stone really bad, and you made my Mother's Day with her because I was able to give it to her. But we sold maybe 3 or 4 different stones with this style of cutting. You know, so you'll see more of it. You know, I'm looking forward to doing a tanzanite. Hopefully the one that's on the DOP will work out a little smaller and have this cut, because the brilliance is is really the best for an oval that I've ever seen. So again, this material, to the best of my knowledge, has not been heat treated. You know, all the material I've cut, particularly I've cut a lot of material from Nigeria. Most of it was heat treated to get to these colors, but this material from the Congo supposedly is natural. So until I hear otherwise, I'm going to say it's natural. You know, that's and all the rough I've seen has had these colors and has all been quoted as natural. I guess up next, this is a stone I cut last week, just under 10 carat. This is an all step cut, you know, and the reason you do step cuts is because there's extra material in its depth, and you can save weight by doing a step cut. And I find step cuts very useful in the business. I cut many of them because they will yield a higher yield for you and produce a great brilliance. This particular stone weighs 9.91 carats. Where are we at here? Appraised price of $11,890. $64.40 is our regular price on it, and with 15 off, it's $54.74. So $5.50 a carat is where this stone ends up, which is really a great price for this size. You know, and one of the benefits of this stone is it does show red flash. Red flash is a rare characteristic that you don't see very often in tanzanites. I've seen it more these days than before. You know, before this recent supply of the last couple years, red flash was kind of like what's something you never ever see.
Green flash.
The green, yes. Now the green flash, I've seen it once in my life. You know, I was standing out and talking about, if you don't know what the green, it is green flash. Yes, it's the last bit of daylight from the sun. If you're in the right situation, I was on a hot summer day looking over a cornfield out in Iowa somewhere, and that sun went down, and the brightest green flash, I mean, it still burned into my skull, not in my eyes, fortunately. You know, but it is just a really intense green flash. But this has red flash. And red flash is as rare to see as green flash. Thank you, Michael. That's not what I was looking for, but that's a great analogy.
Well, the flash.
The flash. Yeah, you don't ever, well, you know, you see him on TV anytime you want, but you know, he doesn't exist. But the green flash is a great comparison. So red flash is a special thing, and you will see it in this gem. You know, it is a really special stone, and just a great price for a big tanzanite like this. Nice clean stone, and I don't think it's flawless, but it's at least VS. Yeah, it's VS clarity. So something minor in it, but, you know, nothing to be seen with the naked eye. If you, with the camera, maybe we can find it, but it'll be very small within the stone. It has very little effect on the value. Before, you know, once if you get below VS, it starts to affect the value and the grading a little bit. You know, I think VS on my grading system, it goes from a 1,000 grade for clarity to a 950. VS1 drops it maybe to a 975. So very little effect on the grading of a stone until you get down to SI clarities. Then it has effect on the grading significantly and effect on price. So, question.
Not about this one, but Jennifer wanted to know if the tourmaline that we just looked at, can you show that in mounting? Because you forgot.
Sure.
I sped out that one too quick.
I've been
Yeah, you did.
neglectful of.
Everybody was wanting to see it in the mounting, and you just
Yeah.
were.
We'll,
Next stone.
we'll do better at this. We'll start designing mountings for these stones if we can get the time. As time is our greatest issue, particularly lately. Business has been so strong, it's hard to find the time to do any of those little extras we need to do. Not an exact fit for this, but yeah, that's kind of a
Color
poor
doesn't
fit.
look like-
Don't ignore the color. That's not a great mounting for it.
Definitely need a new camera.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully next time we'll have a new camera.
This show actually came on a little quick because we were delayed from Mother's Day. for the
Yep.
last one, so.
That Memorial Day kind of put everything behind.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks between shows, and
And we also
it's
went
way
early,
too
so-
quick.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
So ignoring the color of this, the color that's pictured on the website is accurate, and you will find that the camera I use is just very accurate in its reproduction of color, and that's one of the concerns I have with buying a new camera is will I get the accuracy, and hopefully if I stick with Canon, I'll still get the same accuracy. So this is a halo around, got one bigger diamond in the center, and then diamonds down this part of the shank. And it's got a little one underneath it. Oops. So, get this back in there and I'll shove it on my big fingers.
That's kind of a wider band ring too, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely need a hand model. But the brilliance, you can see just how much brilliance it has.
Any other questions, Jeff?
Nope.
And if the stone's still around and you want to see other designs for it, we can show you other things. It's just a really, really pretty stone that whatever you do with it, it's just going to make a beautiful piece. It's a nice size. I mean, it's a little over 3 carat, and that would relate to, well, diamond would actually probably weigh a little more, but, so it's a decent sized stone. 10 by 8 millimeters is a pretty good sized stone for whether you do a pendant or a ring. And this stone, very clean. It's a VVS stone, so near flawless. All right. What's next? All right. I don't know if I can pick this one up. It's so heavy. Ooh. That's a big piece of quartz.
So that's from the same mine that the ametrine came from.
Okay. So this is from the Anahi mine in Bolivia. I don't know if we can, yeah. So there's a better representation of the color. So nice big piece, nice crystal formation, and 749 less 15%. Makes this 8-pounder, $637. So
Big crystal.
yeah, nice big specimen. That's you don't see amethyst this size very often. That is a big amethyst crystal.
Does have a little bit damage to the tip, but if that's
Yeah.
perfect, it'd be.
Yeah. So this and quite a few other amethysts. Have you got the amethyst on on your site yet?
No, I haven't had
Okay.
a chance to get really anything on there, but I've got a lot.
So Michael's got a lot of new amethyst crystals, some more of the ametrine, and many, many. I forced him to buy more material. He went down thinking he was going to spend just a little money, and the quality of the quartz that was available, you just don't see it like that. And Michael spent about 3 times what he'd planned on spending. But when it's right, it's right. Because our supplier just has not been traveling, selling. So he said the time's right, because I haven't been out to sell. So, just had a lot of material, and it was just beautiful, and some of the just nicest specimens that we've seen in quartz.
And that's actually that's from.
Yeah, this is okay. So this is Arkansas material, which is very similar to what the Colombian material is. Just real high clarity.
There's another big.
Which one?
Yeah.
And occasionally, you get these big crystal points. Well, that one's nice and clean.
Yeah, that one is
If
really
I only had the time, it would become a cut gem. So this one's like $199, so I could cut a $1,000 quartz out of that. That would cut a
Yeah.
300 carater,
You can show them the little camera there.
Which, this one.
Show
Look at-
how clean it
yeah.
is. Nice termination.
Yeah, just a beautiful crystal specimen. It's so clean. Oh, a little extra facet there. And these do look like they're faceted. People look at these crystals and they go, "Did you cut that?" No, that's how they come out of the ground. And this one is clean. I still got it. And you come back to this one.
You're gonna make the camera freeze again.
It's just so bright it can't take it, huh? I mean, look, that just blows me away.
So that's Colombia.
This is Colombia, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Enough of the quartz. Yeah, Michael sold his biggest tanzanite specimen this morning. I got all excited thinking it was something of mine, but yeah, he sells an $8,000 tanzanite crystal, which I'm so happy for him. Yeah, it was amazing crystal. It was facet grade tip on the material. I could have cut it and there'd have been an $8,000 cut stone in it. But it was a perfect specimen, and he owned it, so he got the sale on that one, which was great to see that happen. And it's always an exciting day to sell something of that value. And for a mineral specimen, although they come much more expensive, I think that was most expensive when you sold. Yeah. So
And probably owned. So
yeah, most expensive one he's owned, which I'm sure he'll be looking for more like that, because it's always exciting to sell something big like that. Okay, what's up next? Okay, this is a cool set. These are Malaya garnets, and garnets of a lighter color than you typically see. Like I said before, the Mihenge deposit in Tanzania, this color really didn't exist. This light of material. And the big benefit about being so light, it just gives you a diamond-like brilliance, And these colors are just a perfect match in this set. It's rare that you find one of these stones, let alone having 3 of this color range that just match so perfectly.
Yeah, the video doesn't even do them justice. They're just like,
Yeah.
I looked at them, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. Everybody that looks at these stones, they just are amazed by it, and this is one of the colors and brilliance that these have that the video is not as good as what it truly is. If we can, this camera's not going to do anything for it. Yeah.
Don't show them.
Don't show it, yeah. And that's what I told Michael. This camera, we shouldn't even show any stones in that because it just misrepresents them. And, so just count on the video and the pictures to be accurate. And you'll be happy when you get them because we do make every effort to make them as close as possible. But this particular set, you're going to find that you like it better in person than what you've seen in the videos. So its sale price is $22.80 and 15% off this particular set is $1,938. And this will be one of the rarest colors in garnets that you're going to come across. The deeper peach colors are a little more often seen, but still rare. But these are just special stones. Cut me short there.
Oh, I cut it short. Yeah,
That's
sorry.
okay. They were just coming around. I wanted to see them again.
Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, yeah.
Easy as the push of a button.
Okay. Cool stones. Somebody should own those because you'll be happy with it. It'll make a beautiful set of jewelry. And if you don't buy them, my wife will probably want them. So please, help me out here. Sorry, Nance. Okay, up next is a pair of tanzanites. These are special, too. The colors on these are extraordinary. What you're going to find out about them, if you own them, is the color is slightly different in the two. One has a little more violet. You don't see much, but the one on the right is a little more violet. And I think it adds real character to the set because you see kind of the difference that you would normally see in the range of tanzanites. In daylight, they are identical. They're just spitting image of each other, just blue, blue, blue. But when you take it to incandescent, the one stone just goes a little more violet. And as a pair of earrings, it means nothing because you're not comparing the two stones. If you tried to put them in the same mounting, it still would add character because, you get to see what the range of tanzanite is. And even though it's subtle, you see a little more violet than the right-hand stone here. But really intense color. They're just as fine a color as tanzanite gets, and just having a match set like this with such deep color is tough to come by. This particular set weighs 10 karat 13. The appraised price is $13,169. Our regular sale price is $6,078, and with 15% off, it comes down to right around 5,100, which is $510 a carat for as fine a tanzanite as exists, particularly when you come to having it as a match set. So just a pleasing stones, and again, I think the character of being slightly different in incandescent light just adds to the character of the stones.
So what's a 9.4 look like size-wise?
9.4
Yeah,
millimeter.
That's
Oh,
what the size of these are. Just seems like they'd be bigger.
as an earring. Well, it'd be a bigger earring for sure. So you gotta like big earrings.
Look good on you.
Yeah. Hey, maybe. I have big lobes. I can handle a big stone. So nice pair of earrings, and they're probably best as a pair of earrings because they're not, well, it'd make a cool ring too. Again, that character of just the slight difference gives you two things to look at, not just a identical match pair. They both have a little character on their own, but again, you put them in daylight and they're a spitting image of each other. So it's unusual that you get that difference in color change in different lights, whereas one stays almost totally blue and the other takes on a little violet. So I think it's a special pair. Just really nicely cut, fully brilliant. They couldn't be more brilliant as square cushions than these stones are.
Ring for each hand?
Ring for each hand? Whatever. Yeah. His and hers with a little different character, like we all have. I still like it as a pair of earrings, but it is big for many people as a pair of earrings. But you could do drops, and drops are easier to live with a little bigger size. Yeah. And if they don't sell for a while, you can buy them individually. Although I have many square cushions available, and a lot of them with this kind of quality, just not match pairs. All right, and up next, and it's the final hidden gem. This is a little different, not a little different. This is a little rare in that it's a pear shape. I don't typically buy pear shapes. The problem with pear shapes is you get to the tip and they're just black. You get a really deep color tanzanite, and the tip tends to be just dark, but not in the case of this stone. It's partly because it is a fatter pear shape, so you get more brilliance, but it's also the cutting of the stone. So it's really a top color stone, weighs just over 9 carats. And just a very attractive color. It's mostly blue, but I'm pretty sure this one still have quite a bit of violet in it, but mostly a blue stone. $5,625 is our regular sale price, and with our hidden gems, it's 25% off. So it's going to take it into a really competitively priced stone. As a 9 carat, it's $468 a carat, and it does have red flash in it. So this is really a top quality gem at just a very low price. This particular material I bought right at the beginning of COVID, and I got the best price I've ever had on gems, and this is just a special stone for a really special price. Yes, do I have a mounting? Probably not. Sure. Let me grab this. So it could go in something like this. So diamonds flank the stone, and there's diamonds all on each of those shanks. So you just build a head for the middle, and the stone will go right in there. Well, you can see some of the red flash in it. So pretty dramatic red flash, but the color is not well represented, because this is much deeper than this shows, but really a lot of red flash in that stone. One thing this camera shows is the red flash, which doesn't show color otherwise, but so really nice pear-shaped tanzanite. And again, $468 a carat. Tough to beat. And that's our last hidden gem for the night. So if you leave us, you won't miss anything except the next stone. Which the next stone is interesting because it's that was supposed to be the end of the show, but this stone came back to us today. It was on layaway, and the customer decided she wasn't going to purchase it for one reason or another, and we couldn't pass up putting it in the show because it's a really, really nice Marilani mint garnet. Marilanis have been more difficult to get over the last year. They've been really sporadic throughout the years. They'll be available for a couple years, and then they go for a long period of time and no availability at all. Most of my time in business, this material was not available at all. From the late 70s, probably up until the 90s, I didn't see Marilani mint garnet. And then for a few years we saw it. It disappeared for a few years and then came back probably in 2014 when I was there. We saw a lot of material, and now it's dwindled to very limited availability. So this is a carat 55, and it actually is a big facing stone for that weight. So you actually get a pretty good sized stone. See if I can find the mounting. And just a very nice color for Marilani mint. Typically, most of the rough I bought while I was in Tanzania ended up being a little light. You like them a deeper color, which this one has. This is basically Savorite garnet, just a lighter color. This is a green grossular garnet.
You wanna put your hand back in the camera there?
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, I'm looking, but I can only do one thing at a time, guys.
come on, you gotta
Easy
talk,
for you guys to
look
say.
around,
Yeah,
you
got
show your
got
hand.
Can you cut a stone?
What are your feet doing?
They're knitting.
Yeah, all right. Looking forward to that scarf.
Okay. So the color, again, not represented well at all. But a little different setting. This has got diamonds, small diamonds that run across here and then down the shank. So make a beautiful little ring. And not that little.
Bright stone too. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. And it's a grossular garnet, which is great brilliance to it. So really lively and just a beautiful color. Not well represented in this camera, but really, really a special color. Good clean stone. You don't get the dust that's on the surface, but
We could send it with it.
yeah. If you want it, you can have it. I was kind of in a rush, because this was 2 o'clock this afternoon. This became available, and, we knew it had to go in the show. Just something we needed, a little green stone to go in this show. And this one is a special stone. $1,260 is the sale price, and with 15 off, it's $1,070. You take this color just a little deeper, and it's a $3,000 stone when it becomes a Savorite. And this one's so close to being called a Savorite, but it is what it is, and it's special in its own right because it's a mint green color. Savorite is finer when you do get that bluish tint to it. That's the finest of the Savorites, also better blue than yellow. So this mint green is just a really attractive color for a garnet. So it's Marilani mint garnet, and called that because Marilani's the town where all the tanzanite miners live. So it's the closest town to the mines. And this is a byproduct of tanzanite mining. You know, that's really the only source for this color is the tanzanite mines. So Merlani mint garnet, really a great stone, as garnets. You know, garnet is some of the finest stones that we deal in, and just because it produces great brilliance, gives you a diamond-like brilliance, and they have great rarity in many of their colors. You know, we get to know garnet is the red stone, and the red stones are typically the least expensive of all the garnets, even though that's the color we know it as. You know, every other color is much greater rarity and much greater value than most of the red garnets. So, any other questions, Jeff?
Nope, not right now.
Okay.
Quiet audience tonight.
Yeah,
All right.
cool.
I think
That's about it.
I think that's it. That's all of our stones tonight. So, all right, folks, remember, shop online at MoreGems.com, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at MoreGems. That's going to do it for us today. I want to thank you all for joining us. Sign up for alerts for when we go live. Also, check out the video links and info at the bottom of the stream. Until next time, I'm Steve Moriarty. Keep on gemmin'.